cracking?
Good day, good evening, and good night. Hit us with a music cue, DJ Janina.
This is a story about control. My control. Control of what I say, control of what I do. And this time I'm gonna do it my way. I hope you enjoy this as much as I do.
Yeah.
Are we ready?
Well, Janina, let's cut it off while we're ahead. Janina, I don't want YouTube to be up in my ass. Okay.
Oh my god.
We might get away with Podbean, but YouTube is on it. Okay, Google that. They be listening. We have.
I need Pablo to explain that. Please, Pablo, explain that, please.
The choice of
music, yeah,
opening music.
Yes.
I think it was relevant to many factors that we've witnessed or been witness to this past 7 days.
Yeah.
6 days. So.
6 days.
We'll talk about it. Control. All
well,
right.
good day, good evening, good night, and good morning, and welcome to another exciting episode. This is our 193rd episode when I keep count, but there are far more, over 200 episodes on all of our platforms, and the one who you secretly steal. So welcome to another enjoyable podcast. I mean, this is live, and so we're a hot mess as always. I'm not drinking
content
as yet, so I know I'm sober. I don't know about Andreen. So let's get into the introduction.
Poor Andreen.
I get so.
We have Andreen from Solely Tennis Travel. How are you doing?
I'm very good. I'm looking forward to actually traveling tomorrow. So I'm looking forward
to the open. You mean?
Yes.
Please be in a bubble, okay?
I'm finally doing Solely Tennis Travel again. That's
okay.
That's the key.
Wonderful. Well, no, that's not true. You were in DC. Don't play yourself.
Oh yeah. The city open. That was so quick. Sorry.
I mean, and it was a good thing too.
Yeah, it was good.
And we have Janina from Farron, Ohio. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay. That don't sound all right, but you know what? We'll take it for now.
Thank you.
Your girl Christina won a match, so I mean,
she did. Ooh. It was a huge celebration at my house. We did all the things.
Okay, that's wonderful. But whatever sacrifices you made, you couldn't hold on for round two. But you know what? Mm-hmm. Round two money is always better than round one money. I'm always.
That's
there.
right. She's taking me to dinner.
And of course, you have the homosexual of the podcast. But apparently, I'm not the only gentleman here today. We have a special guest back all the way from jolly old London, across the pond. We have Pablo. How are you doing, Pablo?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much.
Well, that's good. I mean, I mean, y'all sound very dry today. I mean, come on, like what? Do y'all need to be lubricated with alcohol? What is this?
No. We are taking this very seriously.
I scheduled this podcast at this moment when the body party is going on, so we will get the right crowd. I'm being a bitch. I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness.
I don't mind missing the party. It just keeps going, so I suspect I'll be able to.
I mean, exactly. There will always be another. Those people, they don't go home. So we will be here.
Let's get it started, y'all. Week one.
For our first fully staged major for 2021 during our pandemic. I didn't want to be mean. I didn't want to say, Janina, pooch. Did you put your pooch away? But
that's not me barking.
It is Pablo. It's Pablo.
Yeah, week one.
I mean, what did we think overall? I mean, was this worth having?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Firstly, I think just to cast our minds back a week, Andreen had Rent as her theme.
Yeah.
And these teenagers have been paying their rent.
Yes. The only thing that could have made this week better is if we had lost Nole. But
shit.
There's plenty of time.
I mean, I thought Kate was going to work a miracle today, but Kate just kept.
I don't know why you thought that. You didn't.
You know what it is? I will say this. I caught a little bit of the Nole match, because really, who watches the inevitable? But I do think though, if Kay had been rested, I think he actually, because I think Nole was actually quite tight today.
Was today.
I agree with you. I think Kay looked tired as usual,
Yep.
but he had a 5-set match that should have been a pretty quick 3-set match.
I mean, he suffered and all in the third set. Then he decided to let Mackenzie McDonald think. Listen to me. I really need the US Open not to be the place where American men decided they're going to try to do some work finally.
Of course, why not?
Listen to me. I'm sorry. They're like that co-worker who talks shit all day long, and then it's 4 o'clock. They're trying to send you some friggin' email. You know what I mean? Did you see this? Did you see this?
Reels. We are on the middle Saturday, and Jack Sock is still in the men's singles.
I mean, who is letting that happen?
I know. That's. I mean, that's why I'm saying rent.
Look. Hey, Deb. Hey, Mark. Hey, Kaiva, go. And all these secret listeners who are
we have
out
a
there.
Pablo fan in there in that chat.
Pablo response sounded like the computer voice that reads out super chat messages. From which
I'll
website,
put Pablo's
Kaiva?
dog away, so to speak.
I mean,
well, but let's get back into it. I love Reels. You are not feeling all of these 5-set matches. You're not feeling.
I mean,
it?
Look, you see. Like I said, American men are they're the ones who are going to send you an email when it's time to go home, pretend that they've been doing work, right?
True.
And Kay was serving for the match, being dynamic and everything. Then all of a sudden, Kay put in a horrible service game as if, you know what? I'm not interested in going home right now. I think the fans deserve to see Mackenzie McDonald some more. So Kay did something in 5 sets, which should have been done in 3. And I mean, it got really tight. You know what I mean? It got really, and I was just like, "Hey, why?" I mean, I know Nole is gonna beat you, but you have a chance. 2014, we all counted you done and dusted.
I know,
but bitch, that ain't your body when you're playing 5-set match every week. Okay, he dragged himself to that final. That ain't you anymore. Okay, that was your one shot. Like whatever spinach juice you drank that time. I mean, you don't have that magic potion anymore. I mean, you should have been efficient. I feel like I'm talking to Kay, I'm talking to Monfils. It's like, God damn, I'm just sick and tired of
this.
You
know what? Bullshit. I have to say, let's have a moment of the Monfils thing. Oh my gosh, y'all. I was telling Janina that I finally remember that I had DirecTV, so I had the power to watch many matches. I only realized it the day before that goes off. But so I'm suffering through this Kay Nishikori match. And I was like, wait a minute, what? So I found the Monfils match. And I'm sitting here. But I will say this. Let me be accurate. It was always on Sinner's racket.
Yep.
It was always, which is exactly the same feeling I had when I watched Sinner in DC, which is that if this kid stays
against
focused,
Mackenzie,
if he's focused, he's done and done. The problem with him, he goes off the boil. So even though Gail was down 2 breaks, I knew he would still have chances. Like that is too. I need him to be a little bit more disciplined, but I will say that this is a tradition that on Labor Day weekend, Gail gives you a long, drawn-out match where the crowd is feeling it. I remember the last time, I think it was Berrettini, he lost as well. It's like it's a tradition. You need this vibe. You need it.
He needs a new scriptwriter.
Let me tell you something.
Well, there was
you think I'm the ending.
Not at all.
I ain't gonna let the crowd show up for me and screaming my name out there and flop.
No, but you know what? It's not a flop. Do you know why? Because listen, the crowd ain't screaming for Nole, even if he's winning, because you're not taking them on a journey. Nole, he tries, but nobody cares.
So there was a point in that match.
Journey.
Monfils take you on a journey.
He did.
He did.
You listen to me.
He did.
Look, you see, y'all like that flowery language. You see, this is why the English major here will not let that stand. Put that mess away. That is not no journey, okay? That is a rocky road where you're like, why did I end up here? This is like hangover.
In a raggedy old rickshaw.
Exactly.
Listen, I get it.
It's up and down, but not in a pleasant way.
But you know
what? When
you
buy a ticket, to like, say you go for like a nice Mexican vacation or going to Paris, and all of a sudden you end up on a bus in some flea motel, all over the place. Yes,
No,
you
it's
won't
not like
die.
that. It's
Yes,
not
you
like
might
that.
see some sights, but you're gonna be a hot mess.
It's not like that. You know what? It's not quite like that because you're never really in danger. That's the thing. And you're just having a pleasant detour. That's a Monfils match. You know,
If
I
you're
mean,
fully,
we know.
but we experienced players, fans, no Monfils, right?
Yes,
But for
yes.
people who paid their money, who are fully interested in dial in,
Listen, they are having the Monfils experience, and now they know.
I'm watching that
I-
match, and there's this moment where I think Monfils had a break point in Sinner's serving,
Yeah.
and he's legit in his position to return serve with like this evil grin on his face. And I'm thinking, what must that feel like to be on the opposite end and just have your opponent looking at you like this, like, bring it, bitch. And just grinning.
well, the thing
But-
about it, Monfils knows that Sinner will choke, and
Yeah.
Monfils.
He
But the
played
problem
Well,
with
it's just
that
a
is
matter
that,
of who's going to choke first and best.
but it's not even
I-
that.
he
It's
was
just that
looking at- he was-
Monfils can't call upon that experience too, because the
to
match
steady
point that
himself through. Yeah.
exactly.
Because
Sinner
this
can-
was a match he could have won. Because
Exactly.
Sinner was actually donating points many times. You know, and Monfils kind of junk balled him a few times, really taunted him into going for his shots. And then he did because he was impatient and he wanted to be aggressive, and he would go wild. He was down 2 points, I think several sets. I think it was in the fourth set he was, and then he immediately got down a break in the fifth. But Sinner had learned his lesson. He had steadied himself, right? But you shouldn't have had to do that. It was one of those moments when I was like, okay, you've won the fourth set. You are the adult in the room. Calm down, breathe deeply, and ride this one out because you know Sinner's going to give you many chances to break him. Just didn't happen. It was a mess. I didn't even know if it was a choke per se. I don't know. I feel like I've just seen
okay,
Sinner.
Monfils is
isn't there a
hoping about.
pattern? Isn't
Go
there a
ahead.
pattern? Isn't there a pattern here? Firstly, Sinner really is Annie, isn't he?
He's Annie, sexy Annie, though. I like
Oh,
him.
What?
Wait, Pablo.
Yeah, I
wait, you have
do.
to let it.
Janina,
yes.
stop
Let's
this.
wait.
Listen to
Let
me.
Janina.
And
let
he doesn't
Janina-
even have perfect teeth, and I'm okay with it.
Wait. Let
Oh,
Janina
wow.
confess. Let Janina confess. She had
Mhm.
things to say about her.
Yeah,
Sinner
there's just
affection.
something about him that's quite
He's
captivating.
he's
and-
Italian. That's it. That's it.
Listen, he is good looking.
Janina, stop it. Janina,
I
stop
likey
it.
likey.
Janina, you've been on those gummies. I think.
Look, you know what? I mean, like, I'm going to say this and it's going to sound really horrible, but
Uh-huh.
the ATP has a crop of, I don't want to say ugly boys, but, they're not the magazine type, like,
Very teeny can take care
Dimitrov.
of that though.
You know what I mean? But the thing
Sinner
about,
looks
like,
good
Brooks
in that
B,
commercial.
Yeah.
Sinner, those kind of kids. But the thing I like about those kids is that they put their head down and they're interested in disrupting your faves. They're interested in being in the top 10 and putting in the work. A lot of the glam boys, they ain't putting in any work.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
just coming out there and being sexy. So I have to say, although Janina, Sinner is the marrying type, okay? That's the man you marry.
No,
He's
no,
gonna
no.
bring home
He's
the
the have
bacon
fun
all the
type.
time. He's gonna do his work. He ain't gonna fuck around.
He definitely
But,
seems serious.
He's on
Oh,
it,
okay.
Brooks B, I think, is a little autistic, and but
shit.
All right,
Brooks
all right,
B,
Diagnosing
all right,
him with
all right.
Hang on. I
Wait,
make
let
I make a
Pablo
serious
go.
point. Okay, I make a serious point. I think this week has demonstrated beyond need the value of best of 5.
Yes, absolutely.
I think we've had some terrific matches, really some superb matches, which have gone up and down,
Mhm.
but have lived up to their billing. And I mean, Alcaraz versus Tsitsipas, a very good example of a point I wanted to make. That kid, once he gets his wonky serve sorted out, he has everything, and he has real hunger, and he's almost the finished product. And he managed to pull himself back together with all the limited experience that he has. He's hardly played on the tour level. And then I see people like, okay, we go back to Nick and we go back to even Francis. And this was annoying me this week particularly against Rublev, and also with Gael. This need to entertain. and this need to get the crowd going and everything. I just wish, like Francis, who's probably the serious one of those, most serious of those three I mentioned,
Serious.
focus
Serious.
on your
Define
fucking
serious.
match. Focus
No,
on
but why? Why would you say that? You're calling out people who were pretty offended. I think the crowd helped Francis.
Yes,
I really
Absolutely.
he made that
I
point to
agree.
say that.
I agree, but I think he feels he has to play to the crowd, and I don't think he has to. I think
No, I
they'll
don't
be
think
with
he
him.
thinks he has to play to the crowd. I
think
think
he
he
enjoys
enjoys it.
Yeah,
Big
I mean, I
difference.
think it helped. I mean, listen, it's the difference between Francis and Felix. You know, Felix just puts his head down and goes about it, and he's quite dull because of that. I mean,
And the crowd wants to love him.
yeah, the
but-
crowd wants to be engaged. I totally get your point in the sense that let your tennis do the talking, maybe. But I didn't feel like it was distracting. You felt it was distracting, Pablo? You felt it got him off his game? Because I thought he was.
Yeah, I think what pulls these guys through 5 sets is focus and regaining it when they lose it. And I think Francis is susceptible to losing focus, particularly after he's had a very good win. You find him in the next round and he's vacant. You know, it's like he hasn't turned up. It's like it is the dog ate my homework stuff. You know, he doesn't bring the goods, and it's that focus. I feel it's the same with Gael, and I think it's the same with Nick. It's how they want to play, but I think the point I want to make is what distinguishes the winners in 5 sets against some of the losers of 5 sets is this ability to regain their focus very quickly and do the business.
I will
and
say,
manage matches and their bodies.
yeah, I will say there's a fair point around figuring out how to engage the crowd and letting it do what it needs to do for you, right? Like, I mean, even in this match, nobody was on Sinner's side. Like, it was like when Gail looked like he was going to be done and dusted. Yeah. But when it was,
I actually wasn't. I just like to look at him.
yeah, but it was actually interesting to see how he managed his emotions in that match because he clearly didn't have the crowd on his side, but he was like, okay, head down, got to get it done. I mean, I think the question for me is whether they need the crowd to get it done. That's my thing.
And I think Sinner definitely had experience he could pull from DC. The crowd was from Mackenzie.
Yeah.
And he kept his head down and, you know, focused on his tennis. But you see, I think that's my problem. I don't necessarily care about the crowd engagement per se for Francis, etc.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they entertain and guile, whatever the case may be. I mean, God, considering when you watch some of these matches, it's like, oh, please do something. But the thing is that they can't entertain on their tennis only per se, and they can't focus because at some point the crowd wants you to focus and the crowd wants you to win.
Yeah.
And very often the match gets away from you because they're walking a very tight line with their tennis because they don't have the skills to really just hunker down and be like, okay, I got the crowd, he's rattled. Now let me get into business mode and rattle off like 20 games and whatever the case may be. Rublev, I think yesterday lost the plot because that was not a match Rublev was supposed to lose.
You know, exactly.
I think the crowd got to Rublev. Maybe he'll learn next time. But he after Russian, he hasn't really acquired, you know, that cold like business like Russian affair for the man. Catching up doesn't.
He at the end he looked like an extra from Oliver.
I actually thought Rublev was tired. I thought he had a long summer. I felt like he had he'd gone to the finals of Cincy. I just looked like he had nothing left.
He also came out at such a high energy level. He was thumping the ball in the first set. I mean, just crushing it.
That's when he needed to have been efficient. You know?
Exactly.
Those things like he served for the third set and double faulted. And I was like, dude, honey, you got to.
he didn't look the same. I think that win over Medvedev, who I think he just basically spent all his energy there, and he basically left most of his tennis in.
Well, let's not take
before he got here.
But let's not take anything away from TFO. TFO,
no, not at all. Not at all. I mean, because with that wonky forehand, he was able to cross the line and in style.
So there was actually that.
Go ahead.
It's interesting that you bring up that wonky forehand because they actually talked about that last night, and there was a story on there that I didn't know that when TFO was younger and he got involved in tennis, he would actually play with rackets that people had thrown away, that he found in the trash, or demo rackets, like any racket that he could get his hands on. That's how he started playing. And so he was consistently having to adjust his forehand because he never was playing with the same racket. And that is what has led us to that wonky forehand. But I also want to say, I think TFO surprised Rublev last night. He played really well. I watched that entire match. I was impressed. I kept waiting for him to crumble because that's what he does. He's really good at getting to that fifth set, but he doesn't finish. I
thought the scoreline was wrong. Usually he's
right.
It
was seriously a good match.
I completely agree with you. I think he kept his nerve, and I think that rattled Rublev, and it was. I mean, it ran on so long. I mean, I think it's the only time Francis has kept me awake in bed at night, all night.
And I think he wants that to be the only time and the last time, Pablo. But I would say, I think the difference with this match also for Francis is that for the very first time, we saw Francis who thought he was very confident and thought that he belonged here and was supposed to win this match.
Yep.
Because before the match even started, he said, you know what? The crowd, you're going to help me with this. And he put that out, to the commentator at least. And I think he came out there and he was like, this is a match I will get to the fourth round today. And unlike most of the other matches where he's like, ooh.
Well, no, I mean, I think he believes he can do it against Felix as well.
Yeah.
He said, I'm coming for you. He said, Felix is box office, but I'm coming for you.
Honey, Felix ain't box office. You'll be able to do it. If you
I mean, look, talk is cheap, okay?
Felix
and I mean,
fucked up last night.
Felix as well is winning 5-set matches. So,
well, when he didn't need to. Well, but I mean, good for him. Good for him.
He actually did let RBA get back into the match.
He did.
But RBA is very difficult to put down.
I don't even know how RBA lost the first two sets.
Man, Pablo, you have like a real stand in the chat tonight, baby.
Do I? Rather.
We jumped in it, but I mean, I know. Let's get into the teens. Let's get into the teenage love. Janina started her teenage love. What do you all think is the reason why we have these breakouts? Is this the lucky good fortune of having no Rafa, no Fed, to give these kids some
I don't think so, because we're seeing it on both sides, the men and the women.
But they're taking out the top seeds.
I
mean, Leylah took out Naomi and Carlos Alcaraz took out Stefanos. So it's not like they're breakout matches when they're playing the 10th seed or something. I think Leylah has been a revelation. I'm sure we discussed her 2 years ago.
She had a number one in a Canadian tournament a couple of years ago, and nobody had been following her.
And apparently she beats Sloan all the time.
But she came with such focus, and her kind of exaggerated fist bumps, I think we're getting in Naomi's face, which is all part of it, and the crowd loved it, and she just she kept her nerve. She absolutely. I mean, I have to say, Naomi played like her tennis mom. But Naomi played like her tennis mom. I mean, she is Serena at this tournament. She played that third set was pure Serena.
Well, the interesting thing is that I would say
Serena. Which Serena are you talking about? The one
that loses.
Okay.
Well, Serena don't win that many games, so it's not that Serena for sure in those instances. But I would say, I think with Naomi, I know we discussed she's everywhere. Right, God, she's selling me HR on my TV. Girl, look, I like you, but you can't be selling me some HR bullshit. She's selling HR work day. Girl, look, that is the devil. That's doing too much. But I think I've been saying for a long time that she has a serious hole in her game, which is that she doesn't even try to control the baseline. She's trying to control behind the baseline. And when that forehand goes off, you can't fix that. You can't measure that properly because you're 20 feet behind the baseline. But she doesn't come forward. And I think
we have to stop. We have to address something right now. Miss Deborah Taylor in the chat saying Leylah has too much Kenan energy for me.
No.
Deb, Deb, how many drinks you had tonight? You got in the whiskey, girl.
She expressed that to me last night, and I was like, I have to say, okay, maybe to some extent she's a little bit focused and a little bit like internal facing, I guess. If that's the kind of thing you're talking about, is that in that she's kind of awkward, maybe. But I really, awkward is as awkward does. Isn't that the same energy that Naomi Osaka has?
I'm enjoying her.
Can I say, I think what Deb is saying, but what I would say is a huge factor here that's really different. You look at the parents. I mean, Leylah's parents were there last night, very vocal. They look like a very happy couple who probably banging every night.
Oh my Lord!
That kind of and really, happy, and probably their kids are really happy. You look at Kennan's father, and God, all sorts of horrible thoughts come to my mind, and you just think suffering when you see him. I don't get that impression from kind of Leylah's, the people around her.
Well, I think she also said that for her, she feels like people have maybe discounted her because of her size.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, small. And I think, and she's small,
but she's not much taller than Kenan, is she?
No, not really. But listen, let's be honest. Osaka was hoping to show up and pull a Serena, which is, I don't have a lot of match play, but I'm gonna play myself into this, and I'm gonna come for you. But she doesn't have the mental strength that Serena had when she was doing
and
that.
She also doesn't have that many tennis weapons as Serena
does.
Exactly.
And so
Osaka has a big, because the minute one goes off, she couldn't put a serve in beforehand, and then she refused to even come forward, mix things up, serve and volley.
Wait, come on.
What's the first thing that
when is Osaka gonna do that?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. That she couldn't do anything. The only thing that she could do was just continue to try to whack the ball away.
Yeah, but
she can make really good angles.
What's the first thing she lost last night? Her footwork.
Yeah, well, yeah, she was all out of sorts. She was
but you see, I think I rarely quote Lindsay Davenport, but Lindsay Davenport says something, she says, look, on the days you're not feeling that great, you gotta have a BC game that could get you through. And Osaka has only that A game, and it's a spectacular, wonderful A game.
Yeah, she can't steady the ship.
But I think what I have to give Leylah commendable beyond anything is that when Osaka took the first set and just took the racket out of her hand, she didn't crumble. She's like, you know what, girl, I expected to lose a set by you. And that's fine. And I'm going to stay in this match over. And she stayed right there. And she didn't blink. She didn't fumble. And she let Osaka self-destruct. And I thought that was beautiful. I don't know if it's going to happen in the next round against Angie
Well, Kerber, what was the most beautiful was her, even at the end, all the questions were Naomi central, right? And she did not play that game. Question: when did you think you could beat her? At what point? She said, before I stepped on court.
Oh, she's like, hey, I'm a lefty.
That's right. And they asked her, and I was like, you tell them, girl. And they're like, well, Naomi was doing this, Naomi was doing that. How did that make you feel? She said, honestly, I wasn't focusing on Naomi. I was focusing on myself and my game. And even though that's probably mostly true, we know it's not all the way true, but good for her for being young and smart and quick enough to not fall for that shit, because this was a huge win for her. So don't make her post
but that was Mary
interview.
Jo.
Yeah,
it was Mary,
just don't do that. Let her have her moment.
But Mary Jo can't do that because she isn't of that quality.
Okay,
right. Seriously, she's awful. She's an absolutely terrible interviewer. And did you see what she was wearing?
I did not.
I did. It was horrid.
Day of the Triffids. It's this kind of.
Listen, we cannot.
I love that book, by the way, Pablo. I absolutely love that book.
We cannot judge Mary Jo by her outfit because no one ever remembers anything Mary Jo's wearing. So
she climbed out of.
We're gonna remember this because it was horrid.
It was horrid. It's like she climbed out of some botanical garden.
Yes,
The first thing that came out of her mouth was Osaka, Naomi.
I
No,
know.
she's dreadful. They
Thanks for
should have her on the court. She's as bad as Gilbert. I mean, it's Brad
No,
Gilbert. It's
listen,
just
Okay,
But
that's a
these
good
people take-
segue.
But
Wait,
these people take no
what's a
training.
good segue? Let's move on.
Pablo saying that's as bad as Gilbert because Brad Gilbert was on TV today, legit begging for people to love Novak.
Explain it. Tell me, what was he saying?
He said, we really need to give him a shot. He is doing something in tennis that hasn't been done for decades. He has the opportunity to get a true Grand Slam. He says, if tennis fans would just look at the moment and realize how significant this is, they should show him some love and they might like him better. And I kept hearing this all day, and yesterday even, about the crowd. Why doesn't the crowd love Novak? Give him a chance. Let's like him, blah, blah, blah. And for the 11 billionth time, winning does not equal fan love, period. Listen, I hate him. We know this. Do I appreciate what he's doing in tennis? Abso-fucking-lutely. The man is kicking everybody's ass and taking names. But I don't need people who are supposed to be professional on TV telling me that I have to like him because of his accomplishments.
Precisely.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
You're absolutely right. You can respect him. You don't have to like him.
But
It's as simple as that.
but I you know what? I'm going to push back and say that this is the world that they created. Because I will say that this man is heading for a Grand Slam, right? We don't think anybody's going to stop him. How did they prepare us for this journey? What did they do with us all week? How did they treat his competitors? How did they get us to think that this is a singular achievement? In the sense that you are telling me that these are strong, competitive guys. This is going to be a battle royale, all of this stuff. No, you have been treating the men's side as if they are children, clocking their bathroom breaks, talking about them as if they were silly people. You have not been making a serious case for me taking this ride seriously. That's all I'm saying. So if we have not gone on this journey with Nole, that's partially your fault. And then also, realistically, it's a pandemic. It's not. I mean, I want it to be a fun ride, but Nole has no he has no rival that's present.
Right.
He's out there on his own doing this, and everyone else is giving chase to him. You have built this tour around rivalries, and he has none right now because his two rivals are broken at home. And we're supposed to care about this singular journey. It doesn't. It's just not working. That's part of the challenge.
I think there's one thing that I'll point it out. Maybe I said this before, but every time you see Roger in an Instagram post or doing a selfie with somebody, he's smiling, he's utterly likable. Same with Rafa. They're just really normal. When you see social media posts of Novak's, what's he doing? He's trying to outperform the person he's with. Like that picture from the Olympics where he's in the gym and he's doing better splits than the gymnast.
Than the gymnast.
So, give it a fucking rest, guy. No wonder people don't like you. Stop trying to show off. You don't have to prove you're brilliant at everything. Just be human. Normal.
But
his wife was in the crowd today wearing a shirt that says "I run with the wolf."
Look, she's flown in. She's flown in after she saw who was in his box the other day.
I gotta get up in there because that lady with the boobs are back. Go ahead, Reels. Sorry.
But I mean, look, what I don't like is I hate tennis establishment, and one is that all of a sudden we're supposed to like Nole when y'all have had previous number one on the women's side, and y'all didn't give two shits. Right? Like Serena has accomplished many major things and y'all ignored her. Right? And y'all didn't even seem to see fit. The only time y'all brought up Serena being likable was when 2015 rolled around and Maria was doping. And then y'all had to be like, oops, no, we got to find something else. But I think beyond that, it's just like, we're all adults. We can like who we like and just accept that. We don't like him. We don't like him and just move on. You don't have to sell us like I don't need all of this extra attention. But for Nole's sake, I hope he doesn't win the Grand Slam, not because I just don't like him, I don't want him to win it, but because Rafa will come on TV at some point and say, well, so he win the Grand Slam, but I wasn't there. Federer wasn't there. Who was there? I remember, like,
Yeah.
you know he's gonna do that. So Nole, I mean, for your sake, win this Grand Slam. You know, try again next year, okay?
We've got Kiva Go in the chat saying that, you know, Novak's the villain and he's a super villain and that he loves, or she, I'm not sure, loves this approach. But the problem with that is that Novak doesn't embrace that approach. If Novak would be the villain that he is, coming in and fucking up all your fave streams, man, I would ride that train so hard. I would be the biggest Novak fan out there. But he doesn't do it.
With that. But here's the
he
problem.
Doesn't do it.
But here's the problem with Novak embracing the villain role. He's not as charismatic as a Medvedev, you know what I mean, or like a Lendl, whatever the case may be. And the problem is that Novak is a real villain, like a real genuine fucked up dude. Like he's turning water into wine in his mind. He's staging pandemic. He's staging super spreader events. You're trying to have a conversation. He's saying the most crazy shit. And he goes to his father and has his father say some fucked up shit when nobody's on his mind. And then he sets his horde, these crazy Nole fam with the stats and breaking into press room. He is problematic. Like there is something definitely wrong with this dude. So he can't embrace, I mean, like the super villain can't really be on that super villain. He has to be like, what's that dude name on Superman? What's his name? Lex Luthor, you know? Lex Luthor is always trying to be nice, you know, like, hey, I'm going to run for president of the United States. You know, I'm going to be doing all this crazy shit. Even though I'm a super villain, Nole cannot embrace it because he is problematic.
But just to bring us back
even
around,
when he tries to be the family guy, guess what? He's fucking around on his wife.
But listen, the bigger problem, the problem isn't Novak per se.
Yeah, really.
Novak is going to be whoever he's going to be, and that's fine. I do not need commentators on TV telling me that
begging you to do it and care.
You should cheer for him tonight and not against him because he's going for the Grand Slam. I don't give a fuck. If I like the person that's playing against him better, I'm gonna cheer for whoever I want. Why are we doing this? We do not pre-match prime the audience by saying this is who you should cheer for.
Well, also,
this is wild.
I'm telling you, it's also rude for the other player because the other player is also on tour, and you're basically lobbying for the number one player who has all the privileges in the world, and you want me to jump on this train ride with you. By the way, why don't y'all give him some ads? Why don't y'all give him a sizzle reel? Why don't you do that work? No, I've not seen, I don't know if anybody knows, maybe they have. Do you all see signs around New York City saying that he's going for it? Has anyone explained what the Grand Slam actually is? Are they actually drumming our attention? You remember when Andy Roddick had that mass American Express campaign and then he lost in the first round? I haven't seen anything comparable, like where we knew it was coming. I don't think that they have done a really good job of even.
No, it's not like when Serena was going for it and she was on every billboard. You couldn't look up in New York without seeing her face.
Said, he's a real villain. He's problematic.
No. I mean, separate from that, separate from whether he's a real or not, because that's his own business. But I'm saying from the sports perspective, they haven't done a really good job.
Okay, hang on. Let's. It is deeply patronizing for people like Brad Gilbert to tell us who we should be cheering for. Sure. Completely agree. But look at. I think this goes to the heart of why he has such turmoil with people like Federer and maybe Rafa. If this were Roger going for it or Rafa going for it, Nike would be all over it. They would be all over it. Every billboard in New York would be plastered with them. They would have very serious PR on it, on all of the morning shows, etc., etc. Who does Novak's have who can do that? Not his clothing sponsor, because that's Lacoste. Not his car sponsor, because that's...
We don't even see his sponsors tweeting anything out in support.
No, That's Peugeot. No, because sponsors drive this. It was exactly what they did for Serena.
yeah.
He doesn't have those people in his corner.
I mean, he does, but they haven't done that work. Listen,
I don't think he does. He doesn't
they're
have the
paying him.
purchase. I
They're
don't
Hold
think
on,
he
sorry.
has. I don't
Wait,
think
wait,
he
wait,
has
sorry.
the purchase to carry off a Grand Slam campaign leading into the US Open, and that's why it isn't there. He doesn't have the resources in the way that Rafa or Roger or Serena would have.
I don't
even
believe
know-
that. I don't believe that at all.
That is the case, but I'm just saying, like, part of this is the assumption that it's natural, right? There's this assumption that like fame comes to you naturally.
Right.
A lot
He
of it
assumed
actually-
that though.
Yeah,
He always
he
assumed
he
that.
always assumed it, but a lot of it is a lot of labor. Like there are a lot of manufactured campaigns and manufactured moments, and so this begging is not necessary if his sponsors had aligned. They could have aligned to make this a big thing. Listen, this is a massive sporting event. People are showing up because they're bored at home. If you want them to understand what Novak is doing, then you all need to be coming out front of the gate, giving me postcards telling me, do you know the last time a man did this? Do you know, like you got to tell
Exactly.
You also have to do a little educating, right? They're telling you, love him, love him, love him. But like, I don't have the context for this. People don't have the context for it. And so rather than leaning on this idea that, you've got to like him, I think you have to actually do the labor, which I actually don't think any of the tours do. They don't do the labor. They don't do it around vaccines. They don't even do it around like really essential things, the bathroom break rules, all that stuff. So I'm just like, I think that's what's really wrong here is aside from the Brad Gilbert stuff, it's like you all did not set this man up to succeed well. If this is such a historic moment, why didn't you all align on it? Like, what's going on there?
I agree. Now, it's rare that you hear criticism of him coming from commentators. And I thought it was fascinating this afternoon because Jim Courier was commentating on the match against Kai. And he loves to drop in lots of gossip. Jim Courier said he'd been talking to Mario Ancic. Now, I don't know if people remember Mario Ancic, but he was a top 10 player.
Oh yeah, I remember his hair, and I remember him going at Federer.
He's a lawyer now.
Yeah, he took Roger out of Wimbledon in the first round, 2002, in straight sets as well. Yeah.
Yes, he's famous.
He or infamous.
Yes.
He was a top 10 player, very smart guy. He was unusual in that he studied. He did a degree whilst he was an ATP pro, and he studied law. And I don't know if you remember what happened in his career. He got mono, and it just took him out, and it kept coming back and knocking him off. And he retired about 2010, I think, maybe. He went and did a law degree at Columbia. He works in private equity now, but he keeps very, very close to the ATP and people around it and everything. And I've always thought that come a few years, he will come back and take over the ATP.
Yes, that's he's already made that case.
And I think he would be a great addition, frankly. He's clean, he's a decent person, he's educated, and he understands business very well now. But he told Jim that he thought it was a huge mistake for Novak to go to the Olympics. He said he was clearly exhausted after Roland Garros and after Wimbledon. And because he was chasing the calendar slam, he was going to have quite a difficult North American hardcourt season. And he said he just got seduced by just the allure of the Golden Slam. When everything was pointing in the wrong direction, terrible conditions in Tokyo, he was tired and he was injured and he was suffering. And he said to compound the problem, he played the mixed doubles when there's absolutely no value in him doing that. And it just ended up messing everything up for him. And what Courier was implying from his conversation with Ancic is that he doesn't think he's still fit enough to be winning the US Open. I have that feeling because I think he's looked a bit tight at points. When normally he cruises through early round matches in the blink, it's over 3 very quick sets. He hasn't had really much opposition so far, but he hasn't looked that convincing. And I think when he meets Berrettini, I think it's going to be a fascinating. I said last week I think Berrettini will take him out. But I thought it was interesting that someone like Ančić, who doesn't have a dog in the race, who doesn't need to praise or knock anybody, I thought that was quite insightful comment.
I mean, but to the extent that that is about Novak having a real challenge in the sense that it is a long year, he is older, and he's not going to be unstoppable forever. So, of course, it makes sense that he could and should be vulnerable in moments. But that even makes the case for why we should have been narrated into this wonderful story for him. You like, we're not assuming it's a given. But if the audience isn't taken on a journey with you, you cannot expect them. I remember when Serena was going for the record. It didn't turn out well for her, but let me tell you something. She did win Athlete of the Year, right? After she faltered, because the journey was made so clear to us.
But every single sponsor of hers was pumping cash into that campaign.
Of course, that's what you do.
And just like Angie's saying in chat, Lacoste did some PR for Novak's during Miami because they're the official clothing sponsor.
So
they don't have a massive North American presence. They focus on Europe and the Far East.
He doesn't sell.
They're just not behind him.
It doesn't matter if he sells or not, honey. These are fake campaigns.
I get it. Right. I see what
you
you're
can
saying.
shape it.
You could shape, but look, like I said, Nole is a villain, and the time you try to shape that and you shake that, not only shape, you shake it, it's gonna get messy. Bring them in.
You know what? You get name recognition. You know what? Even though Nole, and I'm sorry, I'm even making the case, because what I'm trying to say is bad press at least allowed you to know who he was, right? Because Tsitsipas, nobody knew who Tsitsipas was until Andy Murray made people aware of him, right? And it turned out to be the negative, but you know what? That could quickly turn in his favor, because at least now they know who he is out of everyone else, right? Novak,
and that was the story on the ATP side, right? That was the only story. I mean,
that was the thing. But let's shift into that a little bit. Let's move to that. Talking about bad press or no press for Nole, and then, to be honest, an overabundance of press for Tsitsipas. What did you all think about the whole bathroom controversy and how that all spun out online?
Look, again, it's Andy Murray, and you know how I'm indifferent to this kid. You know, and he's messy. He got his teeth fixed, and that's cute for you. But he really, you know how I feel about his thing. But anyway, he played well. The best I've seen him played in a very long time, even before the hip surgery. But the thing about it, he wasn't going to win this match. He may have had a chance if he had, could really come up with it. But you know what? He lost the match. And he came out and talked about, I guess, the fifth set breaker. The fifth set, between the fourth and the fifth set. Tsitsipas took a long bathroom break, like 10 minutes, 9 minutes. And then he was out there. Of course, he's continuing the muttering and whatever. But this time he had something really legit to complain about. Because oftentimes he's complaining about his shoelaces. He's complaining about the grass, the wind, the plastic bag on the court. Like, he's constantly muttering and making a hot mess about himself. And people were complaining about the cheating with his father communicating again. Again, tennis has rules. They have rules for everything. Every single thing. And my thing is just that what you're complaining about isn't Tsitsipas. It's the application of the rules. And the bathroom break, I don't know why we're out here complaining about regulating toilet breaks. 3 minutes? The fuck is wrong with you people? Did you see these people out here sweating? Like, their clothes is literally running water.
Barely time to get your cacks down.
Exactly. You cannot go, and I'm not going to be here running a clock for bathroom break. So the person is in the bathroom. Guess what? You can go to the bathroom too. 2, you think you need to be warm and whatever, you can get up and hit some old balls. It is in the rule of the game. We even have heat rule in effect. What is supposed to do? So there is breaks that happen in tennis. And Andy, you're on borrowed time. You need all the breaks that you can get, because here's the thing. Tsitsipas realized that he could just rush you and just warn you out and just run you side to side. That your body was not going to hold up for that long. And then to go in, then says on court, he's like, he got mad at the end, I think, when the match was finished, just like, what's going to happen is that this is going to be the talk of the press, and it shouldn't be. But guess what, boo? You went into the press room and fucking talked about this shit and talk about, I don't respect him. Like, who of shit.
No. I completely agree with you, and I think
It's just like really. You had the best. Before you finish, before you get in, I just think you had one of the best match in your life for a very long time. Okay, like this was. We're supposed to legit believe now that Andy could still hang around on tour, right? You send a message to the boys. I took Sissy Path number 3 in the wall to 5 sets, right? So don't y'all try to come in here. I lost to Francis last week, but guess what? Okay, that was just a wonky match, you know. But you know what? I can hang with the boys still. And you go in the press room and talk about shit, toilet break. The fuck is wrong with you? And then you got your brother to pile on to this shit, and then everybody took it on, and now Sissy Pass is cheating, whatever the case may be. And then you bring in Zerev. If Zerev legit thought that Sissy Pass wasn't there communicating with his father, there is a rule for that. You're not supposed to take your phone. I think umpire said that once the match starts, once you're in court, you cannot use your phone at all. So there is a rule for that situation. No one just didn't check and enforce the rule.
There are a set
and that
of
has
rules.
nothing to do with what was happening here.
Yeah,
sorry.
There is an undefined time allowed for a bathroom break, once in best of 3 and twice in best of 5. The issue I think here is that Stefanos takes them where others players don't, or if they do, they keep them very, very tight and short. But this thing with Andy, having spent 2 decades watching him play, when he knows he's running out of steam, he gets into displacement mode and he starts projecting and he starts ranting and raving about something or other because he knows he's vulnerable. And I feel a lot of this he generates this internally to try and get himself going again. And it was the perfect storm. He was able to basically accuse him of cheating. He can work the crowd with it. This is typical Andy. Very, very typical. It's not the first time he's done it. He does raise a legitimate point, and I would add here, in the match that Taylor Fritz played against Jensen Brooksby the other night, Brooksby took a 10-minute toilet break at the end of the second set. 10 minutes. I mean, that's...
I don't care. I'm
that's
not
almost,
talking to in toilets.
No. That's almost half a set. It's a third of a set. It's not fair on the other player who has to hang around and can't get up.
But I don't understand.
I am not going into anybody's bathroom and tell somebody what you need to do.
This is the thing I want to understand, though. What is the length of time that people think is appropriate?
Exactly.
Because if I'm going to hear you complain about it, I need a real defense of it. So then make it a time thing. Like, that's all I'm saying. Like, but the other thing that's really not being taken into account is that it has been extremely hot. Yes. People are taking their full gear. They are changing in there.
They're showering.
You know what I mean? Like, you're doing a whole thing. So my thing is, to some degree, I understand your point, Reels, which is like, I don't necessarily think we need a shot clock, but every part of tennis is somewhat timed. So why not? If the warm up is a certain amount of period, then let that be it. Then it's like, then you time it and say, you know what? 5 minutes for a normal thing. And then you indicate to the chair umpire, you know what, I have a particular issue. I'm on my period. I might have to do some more things up in there.
Actually, the rule don't even allow you to do that, Andre.
I know, like, but can I say
your period and you have to go to...
I know, but I'm just saying there could be latitude given. Like, the thing for me is like, this is a humane situation. You could say to the person, I think I'm going to take a regular 5 minute, but then the chair umpire can say, you know what? He's asked for an 8 minute. So then everybody's aware. Do you know what I mean? It's like we're acting as if these are kinds of things that we don't have some leverage in shifting and changing.
There's a difference there, though. If you let's say the player says, I'm having my period, I need more time to do it. That's not just an ordinary bathroom break. That's a legitimate reason to give additional time. It's interesting.
Okay,
that she has to tell the world that she's having a period.
No, listen. Hold up.
But you're athletes. Your bodies work in a certain way. Nobody cares about. Listen, people need to stop being shamed of normal bodily functions. If things are going on, we can't, like, nobody should be embarrassed about it. Like, this is also part of it. Because someone said, you know what? I really legitimately don't know what's going on with Tsitsipas. Maybe stuff is happening in there. We have no idea. So it's like we can have some flexibility in how we're interpreting these things and what we're talking about. I guess the problem is people assume that the longer you stay, it's gamesmanship. And I guess I
And
just don't
that's
know
the
how you're
issue.
going to make it. Like, how are you going to make that distinction? And if you are worried about gamesmanship in terms of timing, then I think you can establish some rules around that then. You can make some clear indicator of like, we did the, like to your point, Reels, we did the heat rule break in Australia and they let you take some time, they give you longer time, all of that stuff. Nobody worries about that because everybody's like, oh,
Thank you.
everyone's cooling down. But you know what? Nobody worries about whether your body's cooling down, which was Andy's point. But if it's like, if you want to build it in, then we should make it legitimate. Because I'm surprised they didn't instigate that rule this time around. It was very muggy.
I was watching the French guy and Lloyd, was it Lloyd Harris playing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That boy pants was wet, like
I know.
literally wet.
Did you see the pile of TFO shirts last night at the end of his match?
And he sweats on a winter morning. Okay,
Yeah.
like he would be legit. Now with these crazy conditions, again, these times of that, no one has gone in there and spent half an hour. No one has gone in there and spent even 15 minutes. I am not trying to tell somebody you need to go take a shit and you need to get it done in 8 minutes. What? Like that is not my job.
But this isn't the issue. Listen,
but
this
no,
isn't
but
the
listen
issue.
to me. The issue is really for me. Sorry, I'm gonna let you finish. Andy Murray lost that match, and he got mad. He thought he should have won it, and his friends and his fans got all up in their feelings. No, please, if Andy wants to say he was in, and plus Andy takes those kind of bathroom breaks. If he's saying that Tsitsipas went in there to recoup and gather his strength, you did that. You said you did that. I am not going to clock a bathroom break. I do not want my employer to tell me when I go to the bathroom I should only be in there for 5 minutes. No one has been egregious. It's been 10 minutes.
But we've done that. But this.
Hold on,
Janina, your point. But we've done that before. We've established how much time things can take. It's not out of the the scope of tennis.
I don't think.
And then
I
the
don't
people are
think
gonna turn around and tell me that the shot clock is crazy.
Well, it is what it is. But go ahead, Janina.
I don't think that this is the issue at all. I don't think it's necessarily the issue that Tsitsipas is going to the bathroom. It is that he himself has established a pattern of when he does these things, and it is being taken as being disruptive to the other player and strategic. And you know what? If he's allowed to get away with it, then yes, that's the problem of the establishment. The players talking about it is okay. I think it is 100% okay for Andy Murray to go into press and say, I think he was trying to pull a fast one. I don't have a problem with that. The problem, again, is I don't need because it is Andy Murray that says, I've lost respect for him. Every single tennis media person has jumped on that Andy Murray fucking bandwagon and dogged the hell out of Tsitsipas. And you weren't doing it last week, and you weren't doing it the week before. But because Andy Murray has spoken up, I have heard so much more about this on Twitter, on my TV, all over the place. And I'm like, why now?
This match, people like
I think it's horrible.
And that is the issue.
I mean, I'll just say it out loud. I think these people clamor for attention from these players, and they use these players to move the needle on certain things. Though all week people have been bullying Tsitsipas, and it was weird and it was uncomfortable. Yes. And I'm like, you cannot take someone's experience of the match, which was Andy's experience, and then turn it around as truth. And the way the British press was activated by Andy Murray, I need Andy Murray to get up there on Twitter and apologize for being a damn bully.
It wasn't even just the British press.
No, but I mean, it was. But the British push gave it a lot of legs because whatever he wants, somebody legitimately said, "Well, now that Andy Murray has brought attention to this issue, I'm hoping that the governing bodies will do something." If you have explored it, and if you could defend it, and you can rationalize it, why didn't you write a piece about it? Like, why are you using these players as mouthpieces? And you legitimize Andy's personal experience and made it fact and truth.
And meanwhile, there was
and you bullied a child. I hate to say it, but it was an elder statesman bullying and punching down. And I have to say that I thought less of Andy Murray for what he did, because you know what? He has been in that same situation with people who are his peers, and he didn't do that. So that was a punk ass move because you could never do that to Nole because you couldn't stand
Thank
it.
you.
But you could do it to a younger
Always
person.
picking low hanging fruit.
Always
He's
the
always
low-hanging
picking
fruit.
low hanging fruit.
Let me just let you know that was it.
I normally would frequently defend Andy Murray and his outbursts on various issues, because often they have merit. But this didn't, and it was like you said, he was trying to humiliate the guy, and he started it on the court, and it was started by Andy realizing he'd run out of steam, and he clearly showed he'd run out of steam.
Yeah, he was losing.
And he just, again, all this displacement that he does, it happens. You go back at all those matches that he's lost in 5 sets, and it's the same pattern. And he felt he had some momentum with it, justification, and he continued humiliating him in press. And
the next morning, the tweet.
You put your finger on it here. You said as the elder statesman, he should know better. You're absolutely right. But there's one thing I want to. We're looking just at this toilet break issue with Stefanos, and I say this because Deb mentioned up in DC 3 years back, I think,
shoes,
the laces, and he just stopped and decided, now, laces, his shoes count as part of the equipment, so they're allowed to stop, and there's not a clock on it. He faffed about one way or another, disrupted the play. Eventually, he was playing Nick, and he brought it. You remember he brought them on a pillow or whatever, or a towel or something. Every match Stefanos has played at the US Open, and I think almost every match he played in Cincy, he got time violations, he got coaching warnings. He's pushing the limit.
But here's the thing: he's allowed
he deserves. Hang on, sorry, Reels. He deserves to be constantly getting violations and warnings and penalties for
and that should happen. This is my thing. It's fine, the opponent can't do it, but if this person is moving and breaking the rules on some level or the gentleman's agreement, then you know what, the chair umpire is at fault for letting it happen.
Thank you.
Like, somebody is there to manage the match. If he is being allowed to do that, then that is someone that's not calling it correctly. And let's be honest, all of the players do some version of that. They all do some element of stop-start. They all do a little bit of what they do.
Andy Murray.
Djokovic.
Djokovic. Andy Murray is the king of that, really.
They all
they all kind of do it.
But this is the thing I get annoyed with. It's just like they're not calling on the authorities to do something about it, right?
Yeah.
Because here was the opportunity, like you could pile on and Tsitsipas, because Zverev made a very specific claim in Cincinnati.
And nobody followed up on it.
And no one followed up on it. And here's the thing. It can be checked because someone goes there with you.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Show me your phone.
Exactly. You're not supposed to be there. Rules established. Exactly. Because the father is a representative. And that's my point to this. That's my thing. And mind you, you didn't see any tomes about no fines for Tsitsipas as yet for coaching violation. And he literally had an international incident.
What it really comes down to is the inconsistency that tennis continues to show of enforcing rules. Period. We see it over and over. We saw it last night during Osaka's match.
Sorry.
All of this goes back to the fact we have a professional sport that is run by amateurs.
Pretty much. And that's why tennis is never ready for the mainstream.
But it goes to something else too. For my point is this: I think this is precisely what Andy Murray and people are banking on, right?
Yeah,
that you don't have to do anything. You don't have to follow up on this matter, right? Nope. Mind you, we're talking about accountability in tennis and whatever the case may be. You just have to set the public on fire, and they're doing the job for you.
I mean, there's a certain kind of reporting that's all about that.
Exactly. So now we're there on the court, and people are shouting out bathroom breaks and all this other nonsense.
Is this a good segue to quote Sloane and to say that they're all scammers? If it's not one scam, it's another.
To the degree that you have unspoken rules that you need to write down and then express them out loud, that may be the case right now. Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting that we also had a very long bathroom break on the women's side and nobody made anything about that. And that woman won the French Open. So, I mean, I think the fact that we just don't equalize these things is a big problem.
Andreen, she's now infamous for taking bathroom breaks. She does it all the time.
I know.
She does 8 minutes. She's another one.
Yeah.
Again,
And-
I'm not going to believe. Look, if people got to change, I know.
But,
Again, there
you
should be.
gotta understand. You can't spend a half hour in there. We all know
No one is doing that though. But no one is spending half an hour in there.
You know what? One solution is that you build it into the match, and you say that in a best of three, there's a 3-minute bathroom break at the end of set one. If anyone wants to take it.
And then you build it up. You just keep you.
And then in best of 5, you get 2, but they're 5 minutes. And if there are heat conditions, maybe you add a minute on each time because they need to change.
Because you need timing anyway.
But here's the thing.
Hang on. So all of it is in the rules, and if people want to take it, they take it. If they don't want to take it, they don't take it.
But you see, tennis don't like specificity, because here's what happened, right? They'll be like, in this big moment, you're gonna call the rules.
I know. Yeah, we don't call rules.
Because here's the thing with tennis.
How many times did Osaka throw her racket last night before she got
because tennis
violation?
has a lot of rules.
Wait.
She can throw her.
Let's have Reels finish. Let's let Reels finish, and then we'll do the Osaka racket chain.
No, my point is that tennis has all the rules in the world. The problem is that they don't enforce them, and there's selective enforcement. And this has been brought up, and no one is addressing that bit. Right? They only pull it up for specific instances, because this is going to be the problem forevermore. You're going to say that you're going to tell, like on the challenger circuit, no, your bathroom break was 8 minutes. You came back at 8:05. Then you get the doctor point, right? And then these players then show up at the Andy Murray match to play first round and out of Ash. And guess what? Andy's in there for 15 minutes and no one says a word.
And no one says anything. It's true. They will break the rules. But let's move into the inconsistency of tennis. I think I was watching some exchanges that said that you only get called for a racket violation if you break your racket.
Yes.
But you can get called for an unsportsmanlike conduct violation at any moment whenever the chair feels the need to do so.
So some background.
The rule, if you okay, I think the rule is quite specific. If you
break it,
if you hurl it in anger, that is punishable through a warning and also a fine. But let's stick to just the warnings. If you use it to hit any of the accoutrement of the court, so the net, the microphones, the umpire's chair, anything that's kind of fixed on the court, if you hit those things with your racket, that can be called for a warning. You don't have to break the racket. If you break your racket because you've been banging it on the surface or whatever, that is just the extreme of you using your racket in a violent way. But it's in anger, intentionally and violently. That combination warrants a warning. You don't have to break the racket. What's happened is umpires won't give a warning unless the racket's actually broken and unusable. And that's the extreme end of the rule. The rule is very specific. If you, in anger, use it intentionally and violently to smack something on the court or the court surface, that's a warning, and they don't enforce it. Now, at Wimbledon, if you fart on the grass, they will warn you and fine you. If you take your racket and you smack it into the clay at Roland Garros, literally take lumps of clay out, but your racket's still intact, they won't do anything, although you've damaged the court. Last week in Cincy, Medvedev kicks the camera.
Yeah,
and the cameraman is behind it, and he did it in anger. That should have, I think that was pretty close to a disqualification, but he should have been warned. Absolutely nothing. The rule is there. It's only applied in the extreme.
Well, he was complaining that he had spoken about this matter continuously about the
presence
camera
of the camera
being there.
And that's a specific issue, though. This issue is about Naomi Osaka.
Yeah, she tossed her racket
twice.
She tossed her racket,
and then she hit a ball out of court. That should have been a warning automatically.
It is. Anyway. No, the ball out of court was an instant warning, and that was Alison Hughes, and there isn't a better umpire.
Oh, bullshit.
No, she's absolutely the best
of these motherfuckers, every single one of them. They watch the on-court coaching happen. They let people throw their fits, and depending on who you are and who your coach is how much of it you're going to get away with. At the end of the day, tennis rules are not clear, Pablo. Not at all. I have read
the rules are clear.
No, they're
application
not.
of
No,
rules.
Well, listen to
listen,
No,
stop.
come on,
Pablo.
Janina,
Pablo, what
the
happened?
rules
Pablo,
are black
listen.
and white.
No, they're
The
not.
rules are black
They-
and white. They're
They
just not
absolutely are
applied
not. The rules
consistently.
include a stipulation that say things that are at the umpire's discretion. There is nothing
No,
about
no,
that
no,
that's
no, no,
black
no,
and
no, no.
white.
Sorry. This rule, the slam rule on racket abuse, is absolutely crystal
My
clear.
point is that rule also can fall under that behavior can fall under
fall under
unsportsmanlike conduct,
It
which
can,
we
but
have
it's separate.
seen.
It's
Stop,
separate.
Pablo, stop. We have seen it many times with lots of different players who get called out on that. They don't necessarily get called out on racket abuse. They get called out on unsportsmanlike conduct. And my point is there is a huge inconsistency here because ultimately the rules are not fucking black and white. They're not. If you
No,
can
the
apply,
rules
if
are
you
the
can
rules are
punish the
black and white.
same, if you can punish the same behavior two different ways under someone's how the chair is perceiving it, that is not black and white.
No. The rule on racket abuse is absolutely crystal
But I
clear.
think Pablo,
Hang
wait.
on,
That's not
let
my
me
point,
finish.
Pablo.
Listen, I
That
waited.
isn't my point at
No,
all.
well, it's my point, and I'd like to make it, if I may. The
No.
rule on racket abuse is absolutely black and white. The problem is, it is only used in the extreme. Umpires wait until the racket is broken. The racket doesn't have to be broken for that rule to be applied and for a warning to be issued. They don't follow the rule. The rule is very clear. Even within the slam rule, it says, for the avoidance of doubt, what we mean by racket abuse is this, and they spell it out. It's not applied.
So basically,
here's-
we're going to blame the chair umpires. So
but here's the other thing about what's wonderful about tennis, to Janina's point. Players are then saying, we didn't get a soft warning. You didn't tell me while I was sitting on
but you know
on
what?
the
They
chair."
expected that. Mary Jo actually said it. Mary Jo said at least she should have gotten a soft warning, if not a real direct one, which is don't do that, Naomi. But she didn't even get a soft warning. So I think everyone was a little bit surprised that there wasn't a warning.
But you hit a ball out of court, so I think that's really like we can't even ignore the shit anymore. Because
No.
She was
That is
warned
a
about
clear
that.
case. No,
That was
that is
clear, but they decided not to give her.
that's a clear
yeah.
case where almost always the umpire calls it. If you hit a ball out of the court, you'll get a warning.
I'm not,
If you
I'm
did that-
talking about this, but did you all care in the moment?
I didn't care. But what I thought was hilarious was that she asked for the ball. And then she
Yes,
just did it. I
exactly.
was just like, this is a girl.
No,
You're
honestly,
really-
actually, I did care about it in the moment because I was watching it happen and I was like, other people would not be allowed to behave this way without getting some kind of violation.
Mm-hmm. And also, I thought it was interesting that she was doing that in front of a younger player, because the assumption has always been that, the elder player on the court has to sort of demonstrate some restraint. But to my mind, I thought it was a real indicator that Leylah had actually really frazzled her.
Yeah,
Right.
she
She Leylah wouldn't lay down and die. I thought that Naomi was just like, bitch, lay down and die. Like, why won't you just
listen?
let
You
me
know
run
what
away with
Leylah
this
said?
now?
I've read your pressers. I know you're depressed. I know I can push this.
And you're
That's what she
everywhere. You're
said.
doing too much. I have
You're
a chance
saying a
here.
lot, and you're giving me information. Just like people don't tell I got a bad back. I know what your mental state is, and she literally caused that girl to fall apart.
This is
look,
She really did.
fourth round money is always more than third round money. So Leylah, you get that check in the fourth round.
I was
okay?
fully on her side because you know what? She showed composure as a young person going up against somebody who has all this media attention, all this fame, all this like positive energy and vibe and everything. And for her to hold her composure throughout that match and basically say, I'm going to take this from you, which is exactly what Naomi would do and has done to her opponents. I was like, props to her.
This is a story.
So meanwhile, we're here. The body.
Wait.
party
What did you say, Pablo? This is a story
about control.
Meanwhile, we're here at our live event. The body party. Shelby Rogers looked like she was going to crash it, but she's down 5-1, about to be 5-1 in the second set.
Who's
Jensen
down 5-1?
Brooksby will be serving for the match in the fifth set against Karatsev.
Oh, that's great because I'm tired of him. I mean, he hasn't performed yet. Listen, I know everybody.
Jensen.
So the Book of Mormon is taking out Party and the Beast.
But you know what though? Honestly, I mean, we've already seen Nole against Karatsev. There's nothing going on there.
Well, he
Yeah,
beat
you know
him.
exactly.
He
So
beat him.
let's just try something new.
That's
No.
true.
Karatsev beat.
No, he didn't beat Nole.
Yeah, he did.
Where? No, he didn't. At the Australian Open?
I think at the Backyard Classic.
We're back here.
No, in Doha, I think it is in Dubai. He did beat him somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
but in a slam, I don't.
Yeah,
think
it don't
No,
count. It don't count.
Not in
Yeah.
the slam.
No, that's why we want the damage. We don't give no let's take all the little
No, I
tiny
mean-
titles.
I mean, it's good if he has history, but it's interesting. Where it must have been some sort of wacky. Was it some wacky 250?
I
No,
think
no,
it
no,
was
no,
at
no.
the
Novak play at
Backyard
250.
Classic. I think it was in Dubai. No, if it's not Dubai or Doha,
Ah.
it's in one of the first Serbian
Oh,
Backyard
that's why
Classic.
people keep being excited about that. I was like, the only thing I can remember
girl,
is how he lost to him at the Australian Open. So when people are like, "Oh no, there's a chance he's playing Karatsev," I'm like,
No,
yeah,
Karatsev
and
has played too many fifth set matches, and he ain't gonna let Jensen have this chance. Okay, let this
let him
go.
have. You know what? And maybe people can discover Nole again because they'll be watching the American. You know,
I'm
that
just
works.
saying exactly. And this young boy is not gonna be. He goes away from a while like Sinner, but he gets back on track. So it'll be interesting to see what he's gonna
Reels
do.
has faves, y'all. So Janina had
Jensen-
problems with Naomi Osaka. Let's continue and finish out. Naomi Osaka lost and then decided in her press conference that she thinks she needs to take a break. Do we have any opinions about that?
I mean,
This season's
look, like
over.
I
What are you
said-
breaking from?
Oh God.
Like I said, she's out here trying to sell me HR. She's too many places, okay? Like you could be like Alison Felix, okay? Alison Felix career is over and she's selling me everything. Water, a bike, a car, diapers, everything, okay? Your career is over. You got nothing but time. But Naomi, you're like, what, 22, 23? Girl, focus on the tennis. You want to be a tennis player?
Oh my gosh, you sound so old school. Remember when people said that?
I think here's the thing. We mentioned this last week, right? I think you made an excellent point, right? That what we're seeing is she trying to deal with manage all of these things, right? It's a lot of checks and money people are putting in your face. Girl, you can't take all the money. I think every famous person that I know, they say something I think is amazing. They say the thing you have to learn is how to say no. That is the most important lesson. And you're gonna have to say no. Stop selling me HR.
When to say no?
She's selling me salad. She's selling me HR. She's selling me everything, and it's too much. And Naomi, I love you, girl, but that kit, girl, it's not working for me, not at all.
That kit is so ugly.
Listen, as quiet as it's kept, I haven't liked any of Naomi's kids.
Yeah, this the whole Naomi thing is a story about control.
Oh, God. Whose control?
She has lost control, or she has lost the control that she had. Reels is right. She's plastered everywhere. She's on everything. And I feel that she realizes that she needs time for herself. She has the resources to take 6 months, a year if she wants, and good luck to her. Let her do whatever makes her happy.
So nobody don't tell lies on me, okay? And learn how to play at the net, girl. Learn how to play at the net.
Well, I'm everyone already knows that I have I'm lukewarm to Naomi Osaka, so I wish her the best. But and that's all I have to say about that, to be honest. I have no opinions about it. I think say less. Say less is what I say. Don't let people in your business so much. That's all I'm saying. Because you know what? Now people are talking about your mental health when realistically you're probably just tired. So it's just like I think it's one of those things where you know what I mean? Like it's like these people don't know how to handle these issues. These complex
issues. Like me. When I get really sleepy, I start saying stupid things. I just start saying random crazy shit.
But I think that what she has done is she's illuminated how fucking idiotic a lot of tennis journalism is, and other people and everything. And the way that they've dealt with her, I think you're right, Andreen. She's mentally exhausted. I think that's clear, and I think Serena has a large element of that as well, because of she's played across 4 decades or whatever. There is a saturation point, and I think maybe she's got to that. And of course, people say it's a mental health issue. It isn't a mental health issue. It is a condition. You can deal with it. You overcome it. It's like when we talked about Simone Biles. That became a mental health issue. It isn't really mental health. It's not someone who is experiencing long-term depression. It's someone who's experiencing heightened conditions at a particular point in time that causes them not to perform the way they want. And that is, people will dress that up as illness. It isn't illness. It is a vulnerability we all have. And I think the whole conversation got into the mental health sphere on completely false ground. I think there are other ways to come about this, and I think we underestimate the importance of it. But I think, Andrew, you may have said this last week or the week before about she couldn't cope with playing on clay and being judged for it, and this manifested in her not wanting to do press conferences about it. I get that as a defense mechanism, but that isn't a mental health issue as people dressed it up as. And then for her to come back into press conferences and tennis journalists say, well, we were really just not throwing softball questions at her. When did they become psychologists?
The whole thing.
They're not even asking
I mean,
questions.
it makes me want to vomit, actually, just seeing the coverage of it. It is a professional sport run by amateurs.
This is why tennis, Reels always says it. Tennis is never ready for showtime because whenever the cameras are on, we look like we are constantly pushing everything.
Back alley affair.
You know what I mean?
Like we're being run by
like,
mobsters. Look,
we're-
as I
we're
said,
like
I think
we
in the
didn't clean
old
the
back in
room.
the day.
We're like, oh, let's shovel this underneath the bed. Wait. And then people come and say, so what are your rules around this? And no one can articulate it clearly. You know what I mean? It's like we really are running like
But then you're writing a whole bunch of pieces to say they followed the rules. Look, I can't take tennis seriously because tennis doesn't take itself seriously.
Yeah, so
But
you know
anyway,
what?
Ding 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 ding.
But we wish, but to be honest, I wish Naomi the best because girl, you have made it.
Listen,
Relax,
and also
chill out.
I'm sure you have health insurance. Go see a doctor. Get some Prozac.
Hey,
Lord.
I
No,
mean,
don't,
Naomi, all
don't.
I'm just asking, Naomi,
Do
you need a
Don't
gay best
take my-
friend, and I just wanna hold your
You want to
pocketbook
be
with
your
the
gay best friend? Okay.
I want to hold a bank card, girl. Let's go shopping. Shopping always helps. As my
I-
mother
Oh, we have
says,
another
Girls,
young one.
I can see you dressing her in Louis Vuitton. And
no,
Chanel, and
we're not excessive on whatever the case. We're gonna get her some cute kit, and we're gonna get her, we're gonna get her something for you and two things for me. That's how we're running this show.
Oh my God!
But
you
here's
greedy
the
little
thing. Anyway,
bastard.
a little
we
man.
gotta keep it.
Let's
We gotta
come
keep
back
this
around.
nice and tight. Let's come back around. So
Week 2 fun.
But
week
there is,
2. So
but hang
wait.
on. Before we move, there is a very serious issue we should talk about, which
You got
is
8 minutes.
I know, and I'll try and be quick. Well, it's serious. The abuse that Sloane Stephens got after her loss the other night, across various social media platforms. I mean, it is horrendous, and it's a lot of it is bettors, who've lost money on it, and they just guys who rip into her with the most vile language. And there are two things which for me are a real problem. First, that they get away with it, and secondly, that the platforms really do nothing about this, and they're not accountable. They say we're just a platform, we're not a publisher. You are a fucking publisher. You promote this material.
But
You
is the bigger
curate
issue
it.
tennis aligning itself with all these betting companies?
And I think a lot of these sporting organizations do not do a good job in informing the fans and whatever the case. I mean, none of this is okay. But then again, how tennis is gonna do this when y'all are piling on to a child about toilet this whole week? But I mean, again, we're trying to grapple with this whole social media thing. I mean, like, they staged a whole insurrection, and nobody went to jail for any of this mess. No one was held accountable. Nothing happened. I mean, the website that got taken down is soon gonna be back up, and I mean, and we're still running this nonsense anyway. As Mark said, you can block. But the thing about Mark, I think it's exhausting because you have to read these things in order to block these things. But maybe I think Andreen mentioned something a good while back. We talked about this. Maybe athletes shouldn't be and celebrities shouldn't be so accessible to fans.
Yeah.
Just for your own mental health. Like I mean, I get it. It's a way of engaging with your people, but you know what? just put out like get a website, you know what I mean, and don't accept messages. You know what I mean? You like me, you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of merit in not being on social platforms like that, but sponsors will tell you need to be on there. You need
Yeah,
to.
but sponsors are not getting the death threats,
No,
right?
no,
I
no,
mean,
no,
some
no.
of those
Hang on,
things-
hang on. Yeah, but there's a step before this, before we talk about engagement. Why is it that people can threaten to rape people or murder people on social media platforms?
You only
And
threaten to
and
rape.
and the owner of that platform who promotes that material has no liability for it. This is a problem. They are publishers. If I wrote that in a book, I could get sued for it.
Mhm.
Well, they're allowed to do it.
If I put it on Instagram, I can get away with it. And the problem is that regulation has not kept up with social media, and social media has exploited that fact to make billions and
Well,
billions.
they now exploited it. They pay for that too because they're stopping any kind of real regulation from going on. But I think this is
Can we talk about this as a connection though with
Mhm.
because I mean as a connection with the tour itself? Do you think that tacitly the tour is kind of enabling that because it happened regardless of whether the bettors are engaged with the tour or not?
and this
Do you-
happens to men often. And this
Yeah, it
happen
happens to everybody. I've seen
everybody.
that a lot of the younger guys would post things.
And
That-
it happens all the way down, even in the sort
Yeah.
of futures tournaments and stuff like that. The problem is you're dealing with mostly men's reaction to losing bets and stuff like that. I'm not opposed to sports betting when it's done properly, and it's become much more a science and an art in the last few years than it ever was. But you have people who think they can make money on it. They lose money because a player loses, and then they vent on that player. You don't stop betting. Stopping betting won't really change that, I don't think. It's the behavior. It's providing a
But-
platform where that person can threaten to rape you.
But here's the thing. Here's one of the things that I'm gonna push back on the player bit as well. They have not formed a coalition to go to their organization and tell them to help them with this matter.
Mhm.
They just go on the social media and say, I shouldn't have to accept this nonsense. And this
But what can your organization do? This is a problem across all of media, period.
but I think but then when you have I'm just simply saying then you can push for some sort of
But hang on, Reels. Listen, just tie that into what you were saying earlier about Andy Murray. He's used social media.
yes, but
Sorry, hang on, let me
this is not-
finish.
Mhm.
He's used social media platforms to humiliate and embarrass Stefanos because he wanted to drive it home. And then you want him to go to the ATP and say, we shouldn't have to deal with all this crap when he's creating it.
Well,
When he's using the fact that these platforms are unregulated to do what he was doing.
but again, I think Andy Murray would be able to hold those two thoughts as two different things.
Yeah.
I'm almost sure of that. But what I'm simply saying is that I think that it has to step. I mean, organizations. It's gonna have to come from the business sector, because and also just regular people pushing this, and people have been pushing for social media controls for a very long time. In speech, because as someone pointed out in the chat, the Taliban is on Twitter. Mark Miller said
Well,
they're
I
on Twitter.
mean, listen,
And they run a pretty-
we have Section 230. These are not these folks have the ability to let anything live on their Twitter feed, right?
Mhm.
And all social media platforms. So this is a real bigger issue. I mean, to your point though, as an organization whose players are challenged in this way, there could be some move by ATP and WTA to push back in some,
And do what?
meaningful way.
I mean, listen, there are people who are pushing right now and lobbying for changes to Section 230 in the United States. I'm just saying what I think is interesting is that I do see the players go online and they say things, but then I'm often left at the same question, which is what can one do? I think we want to link it to betting, but I don't necessarily know if we can link it to betting. People get on social media and say lots of things. All
Yep,
week
all the
we've
time.
been seeing it.
I mean,
And sometimes people approve of it, and
maybe
other
Naomi
times
won't like me saying about her dress and think I shouldn't
exactly.
say
But
shit,
you know what I mean? Like, but I mean, this is specific because it's actually a threat. These people are actually threatening harm, which I think is a very specific thing to Pablo's point. And maybe that's where the intervention can happen. You can get on here and say someone can say you played a horrible match, but if someone makes a threat, there should be some effort to actually do something, because who knows? Because these players do play in an open space, and anything could happen
all over the world, right?
Yeah.
They can
So
legit
I
meet
mean,
this person.
I'm curious about that though. Maybe we'll have someone on who can talk us through what that would mean. And
the thing is, but it was internet companies which lobbied successfully for Section 230.
yes. So there was redress that's possible. It wasn't always the case.
No, it wasn't. Before the internet, if you wrote stuff like this, you could get prosecuted.
You could, yeah.
You get arrested. It was that change whenever the major internet companies lobbied that they could hold content but wouldn't be liable for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the invention of content, right? So it's like New York Times could be held liable for things it publishes, but Facebook can't.
Precisely.
Can't. And so they're two different things. So yes, I mean, this is a bigger issue.
Meanwhile, Facebook wants to get into the news business, and
well, yes, they'll be held accountable.
But this is something I think which we need more time. But sorry,
Facebook is in the news business.
That's what I'm saying. But it's trying to play fast and loose as to whether it's a news organization or not. But anyway,
this is a bigger conversation,
right? And we
can
can't
come
have
back around to it.
Sure.
Definitely.
And I don't think it's specifically. I mean, Pablo, I think you did a pretty good job of really disentangling it from betting itself, because betting can happen. It's happening in other places. I don't know if we're going to make a through line between betting and people going crazy online, and then therefore the ATP or WTA tacitly approves of it. I don't think those are the connections one wants to make. But it is a big issue that we probably can unpack a little bit. But we're coming to the end. And we have week 2 coming up. What are you all looking forward to? Who do you all think are going to be the last 2 standing on Saturday for the women and Sunday for the men?
Anybody but Barty and Pliskova.
Oh, God.
I want one of these young girls to come through, and I actually think one of them might do it.
Which one?
I think it would be too rough for them. It would be too much. But you know what? If they're making some money, they're making some money. But you know what?
Oh, tell me, who are the two on the women's side and the 2 on the men's side? Janina, go.
Oh my gosh, stop it. Well, I think for the men, listen, I think Novak wins, period. I don't think it matters who is on the other side of him. I think that Zverev might have the best shot. Medvedev, if he can believe in himself, can beat Novak, but that man's unstoppable, and I don't know that anybody stops him. The women, I really think it's up in the air. Listen, we've got this. How do you say her name? Anna who? Rada. What's her name?
Emma Rada.
She's fearless. She is doing the damn thing. We'll see Leylah's next match. We'll see if it was a one-off or if she stays consistent. I feel like if you can take Osaka out, you should be able to probably take any of these people out, right? Yeah, I mean, I liked her game, and I don't know who's gonna do it. I would love to see a newbie. God, please don't let it be Andreescu.
Oh, yes.
I am so tired of hearing how she now has a 10-0 start to her U.S. Open career. But she don't play hardly anywhere else ever.
She got to show up and be ready. Go.
Okay, I'm going to go with Bencic and Muguruza. I've been liking how Muggs is looking, and Muggs do some good TikTok dances. So I would like if she could not fumble the ball, because I haven't forgiven her for Venus and Kenin. So Muggs, it's time for you to roll the dice and get back in real good graces. So nice. I need you to get this. I mean Mrs. Monfils, maybe so that she could get Gal to be like, I can't be the house in here with not even a plate. Okay. Okay. So maybe that might motivate Gal to get some shit together. She could taunt him, but anybody but Andreescu, the body potty, Pliskova, Swiatek, look, Kerber, look, at this point, I'll even take Mertens.
Oh my God.
And on the boys' side, anybody but Nole for sure. I think, look, quiet as it's kept, I think Jensen might knock out Nole.
Oh, stop it.
But, in terms of he's the kind of person that he sticks to you like white on rice. He will not let go. But you never know. And we keep saying Nole is tight. You know what I mean? And Brooksby, look. I mean, who thought Vinci was going to take out Serena? I'm just saying.
God, I love it. I love it. I love it.
So
right,
Berrettini
Pablo?
on the men's side, Berrettini. I'm looking for Berrettini, and I'm looking for Medvedev.
Oh, good. All right.
Ooh, interesting.
Pablo?
Okay, on the men's side, I think I'm in agreement with Reels. I think if you look at
So it's going to start.
Novak's, if you look at Novak's path now, he has to go through Berrettini, he has to go through maybe Zverev, and he has to go through Medvedev, and that's too much. I think Berrettini takes him out anyway, and I think it will be Berrettini Medvedev in the final, and it'll be Medvedev's title.
Love it.
On the women's side, I'm inclined to go with Queen of Bathroom Breaks, Krejcikova.
What?
Yeah, only because she has this resolve. I can't stand her, but she has this resolve, and she just seems to be able to pull it out. She's come from nowhere in the last year, and is just crushing everybody in the end. I think a fitting winner in this pandemic year would be Kerber, because because that's what she does. She struggles all the way through slams, and then the final.
Your picks are smelly on the women's side. They're smelly. I don't like it. I don't like it, Pablo. I rebuke it. Pablo.
You rebuke me. My women's draw didn't stand up that well because I had other than Barty. I think it could be Barty in the final. I think it's one set all now, isn't it? But I wouldn't rule out.
There's a break in the story.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule out if Sabalenka gets a run and she can keep her focus. Then
you should keep the ball in the court.
Yeah, if she can keep the ball in the court. I think she's. But it's going to be one of those, isn't it? It's not anybody else.
And the WTA, you just.
I agree with you about. I agree with you about Garbiñe. She seems quite determined and focused and all the rest of it. But let's see. She's gonna. I think Krejcikova will take her out. But
Andreen, who do you have?
I'll say, but I hope people are dropping in the chat where they are. So I'm gonna go with Medvedev versus Sasha final. Which and I think Sasha actually takes it from Meds. But that's just me being a villain. And I think Muggs versus, this is really far out for me, but Pavs.
Hang on. You can't have Zverev and Medvedev in the final.
Yeah, I can.
Can you?
Yeah, they're in the different side of the draw.
Is Sasha in the top half of the draw?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yes, you can then.
Yeah. And I'm taking a long shot and saying Pavs comes through. Although it looks like everybody's exhausted from the Olympics, but I suspect it's probably. But I'll be honest. I think Halep sneaks it. Although I thought for sure she was injured. I don't know what's going on. I didn't even think
she was present. That was the craziest thing until I'm just like, what's she doing here? But anyway,
I thought she'd pulled out.
Me too. But Janina has us in a very tight schedule, and I want to keep on to her. She just disappear, and then I'll have to send HR to send her a letter. But for those of you in New York, if you end up at the US Open, please wear a mask. The people are getting there with fake vaccination cards.
Wait, let's some acknowledgement. Mark, we are not sleeping on Bencic. It's just that we don't quite trust her yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Patrick, I cannot believe you said anyone but dictator-loving Sabalenka. She has to say those things out loud. She has a dictator at home.
I mean, what is wrong with you people? You know this Azarenka is staying far from that conversation, right? Like
every match she plays, they go around to her family's house and they pull guns on them.
I mean, it's horrible. We don't know reliably what people are doing. Angie, I will never forgive you for liking BB. She's like, BB fave getting a second. There's no way I want to live in a world where BB has 2 slams.
Thank you. Thank you, Serena.
Mark wants Kerber. And I will say, Richard, thank you for making the point that people have always threatened athletes, which is horrible to hear, to be honest.
Yeah. I think this time it's a little bit different, though. I mean, like, plus people are going to rally around and protect men.
But I think what the difference here is it's an onslaught. When you get thousands of messages saying they want to rape you or kill you or go after you or whatever, it's one or two is, You say nut jobs.
I mean, I'm sure black athletes would tell you they got
Yeah,
all of
so-
those letters. But I mean, what I think is, I think it just the threat is it just seems more real. Like, you know, the internet people can reach out and touch you.
Yeah, it's the fact that you can find each other. You can
Right.
also rally together, because it'd be one thing if I wrote a letter threatening you and another person wrote a letter threatening you, but the fact that I can find the two of us can find each other online and then gang up on you is probably a different thing. But Janina, do you want to close us out, lady, or no?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. Sorry.
Angie says Nole
You know
and
what?
Meds with Meds winning. What if Nole gets to the final? Nole is not dropping that ball. Like he's not.
I know. We got to eliminate Nole before he even gets to the final, Angie. There's
No,
no
Nole
way.
He has to get to win it. He has to get through Berrettini, Zverev, and Medvedev, and he's not doing that. I don't think that's too
So
much.
let's see if Anchich was right that Nole. I mean, maybe Kay might have done his duty today, which is just to tire Nole out.
I mean,
a little.
everyone is chipping away at him. You know, they're not letting him slide in there quite easily. So
It is all for the greater good. Okay, guys. All right. Say good night.
Oh, good
Good night,
all.
folks. Thank you. Take care.
Good night. Good night. Shelby, I see you're not doing the thing at the body party that you're supposed to do, girl. But anyway, have a good night, y'all, and thank you for joining us for another exciting episode.